Craig Adams here from WeddingFilmSchool.com, and today we're doing another wedding filmmaking Q&A, which is where I just answer questions that you've submitted via email, Instagram, Facebook. So let's get to it. What camera settings, aperture, ISO, shutter speed do you use the most when you shoot? That's a very vague question. There are a lot of different answers, but shutter speed I typically try to keep 1/50th if I'm shooting 24 frames per second. You know, obviously that'll change in different situations, but I like the motion blur of 1/50th on these DSLR cameras, so I try to keep that 180 rule. Aperture, I usually don't shoot below 2.8. Really, I'm trying to go 5.6 to 8 because that's when the sharpness is the best with these Canon lenses most of the time, what I found. You know, sometimes you have to go above f10 for like glide cam or really bright outdoor stuff. But I typically try to keep within, you know, around the 5.6 whenever I can. I'll boost ISO just to get that 5.6. ISO, I try to keep it 160. You know, if it's bright outside, I might even drop it down to ISO 100. But other than that, I try to keep it at the increments 160, 320, 640, 1250. I forget the one in the 1000. I typically don't go over ISO 4000 with 5D Mark II, and the 60 it can handle the ISO boost. But I will boost it over 1000 if I need to get the aperture, because that's more important than the ISO, because you can use neat video, you can do some things in post to really bring down the noise level, and I think these cameras handle low light excellently. And white balance, I've been using auto a lot. It's been doing pretty well. You know, it's a gradual change. It's sensing what it needs to shoot in a lot. You know, obviously there will be a lot of situations where you'll have window light coming in and then like tungsten or fluorescent overhead, and your camera gets a little confused, so you definitely want to key in the Kelvin for that. A lot of times when there's fluorescent or green, really weird tinges, I'll have to change the color space within the camera and then lock down that Kelvin so that it doesn't change. But other than that, you know, outdoor, indoor, or when it's all tungsten, you know, the camera handles that pretty well. And, you know, during a ceremony or a reception when you're using multiple cameras, you're going to want to key in the Kelvin because you want to match the actual white balance per camera. You don't want them shifting because it may sense something differently over here versus over there. So that's one thing you would change. What is the most effective marketing tactic for your business in finding the right clients? You have to know your own values. You have to sit down and really think about your brand and yourself and what you want to achieve with your business, what kind of work you want to do, and also what kind of work you don't want to do. It helps to know both sides. Once you find yourself on that spectrum and you really, I would say, write down 3 specific values that you want you and your clients to honor and respect and appreciate. Mine are adventure, artistry, and authenticity. Those things are so important to me in my daily life that that transcends to my work, and I want to work with people like that. So you have to really explain that to your clients, and you have to make them understand that even through your website and your videos, so that, you know, it attracts the people who respect that. Is pre-production needed for a wedding? So if so, what does it entail? I think it absolutely does. The more pre-production you do for any kind of video shoot project, it's going to help it in the long run for sure. As far as weddings, you have to get in contact with the people working the wedding. You know, the DJ, the planner, the photographer. You want to be on the same page, and you want to make that first effort to build that communication so that they know who you are walking in, instead of you're just like, hi, don't get in my way, photographer. Hey, give me an audio signal. Hey, caterer, I'm gonna get food, right? Walking in and having them know your name and you knowing their name is a huge thing to do. It makes a world of a difference. It's instantly a positive, you know, let's work together to help the bride and groom rather than just ourselves kind of thing. Obviously you're going to get in contact with the bride and groom, but just make sure all your expectations are set so that the bride and groom know what you're there to do and what you're not there to do. and also what they're expecting versus what you're going to deliver. You want to make that all very spelled out in email, contract, and PDF form. I send out call sheets and schedules so that they know exactly where and when I'm going to be doing what throughout the entire day, so that there's no like, oh, I thought you were going to be here like to shoot my grandma. Like, no, I have no idea your grandma was there to be shot. So that is really important. You want to get those call sheets out. And it helps your team too. So if you have a second or third shooter, you want them to be on the same page as you. It really helps to get those out days before, or weeks if you can, so that they know what they're shooting and what they need to bring, all that stuff. How do you handle shutter speed throughout the entire wedding? So I'm typically trying to adhere to the 1/50th rule to keep that motion blur pretty standard to what we're used to throughout the entire day. I'll rarely step it down to 1/30th. If I do, it's maybe because of GlideCam. That usually will happen inside, but it gives me a little bit more buttery of a motion, and it helps to take away that jitteriness that you'd get with GlideCam if you're like at 1/200th. At the reception though, I've found that when people are dancing fast and it's like fun and energetic, I love the look of like a 1/100 shutter speed. Especially when I'm going handheld with my full frame camera with a 35mm with IS. Like, it just gives me a really wonderful look. And I'll even glide cam with the 35 around people dancing. And at that shutter speed, it just looks so much more alive, and your brain can register more because there's less motion blur, and yeah, it looks great. So try it out. Do you ever use lighting on camera during weddings? No, I don't. I've seen people do it though before. It drives me crazy, just because of the shape of the light rather than exposure. So there's shape and exposure. So with these cameras, you can boost the ISO, or you can open the iris to let in more light. So you can expose your image pretty well, but that doesn't do anything against the shape of the light. So with an on-camera light, all the light is just coming right towards you on the subject. It's very flat, and then the background is dark because all the light is coming right here in close proximity. So I think that looks crazy bad. And plus, like, people notice you. It's just like, ugh, it's such an ugly thing. Like, to have a light just like in your face, I don't think it's good at all. So, what are your GlideCam preferences, lens choice, time to use during the day, techniques? So when I'm glide camming on my HD 4000, I like it to be as heavy as possible. So I'll probably have 3 weights on each side, and then sometimes I'm flying with a battery grip, but I always have, a lens, my full frame camera, and then a Rode VinuMic Pro on top. So it can get a little heavy, and you got to get used to that. I love glide camming. If I could do one thing, like, I love to just do that during the day of the wedding. If I could have everything else taken care of, that's what I'd do. I typically shoot with a 24 prime and a 35 prime, sometimes a 50 for creative purposes, but of course that's difficult because you have a very shallow depth of field, and it's just shakier. The wider the better. So you obviously want to shoot everything in focus, so close that aperture as much as possible. Outside during the day, it's easier. You have to really balance it almost for every shot. So once you balance it this way, you should be set. You want it to be dead on, and then you want your weight on each side, just a tiny bit more weight on the bottom. This is a tutorial that I'll do later on, but I typically use the 24 and the 35. I would love a 16 to 35. If I could just have one lens and then have all of those options, that would be awesome, because it'd just be minor tweaks for the balancing to shift the focal length of that lens. But yeah, I'll probably have a video up soon, sorry. Where do you get music for Instagram video previews about like 15 seconds long? I just use what I have. I get most of my stuff from the Music Bed or Song Freedom, both awesome sites, different, pretty cheap, $40 per song. Song Freedom does a little bit of a different price structure, and Yeah, I just trim it up. I'll use, 3 to 4 minute long songs and then just find a part that I like and then just use that in the preview. It just depends on what your subject is. Natalie asks, can you do a video explaining how you got your first wedding client and built your business? So she's looking to expand. My first wedding client was a art teacher who wanted to help me out, and she was getting married, so she told me to shoot her wedding for $100. And I showed up to the ceremony with a Sony Handycam that was accidentally turned on in the bag as I was driving there. So I had like 15 minutes of battery life. And so I had to pick exactly what, I had to like charge, shoot as the ceremony was about to begin. And then I had to like pick what parts of the ceremony I wanted to shoot. And it was just, it was exactly what, would happen. My first wedding shoot, of course. But things have changed. I'm a little prepared now. So after that, all of my weddings just came from family referrals. So someone who was at that wedding or saw that wedding online would just contact me and see if we could work together. And I just kept increasing my prices. And then I'd say after the third wedding, I realized that this is actually a pretty cool thing that I could make some money with, and it's a great exercise for my creativity, and I actually enjoy shooting and working this way. So yeah, it just took off after that. I would suggest you just have to be able to show off the work that you've made. A lot of people will shoot cool stuff, but then never share it to the world or market it in a way that they can make money off of, So if you shoot, make a reel, share it with your friends, social media, Instagram, Pinterest. Pinterest is huge, you gotta jump on that. And yeah. Wireless Sennheisers versus wired lav mics, thoughts? I've got both. I've got a Sennheiser G3 wireless, and then I also have like 3 or 4 of these pocket recorders just with lav mics, like the Zoom H1. I just got a brand new Tascam, and I'm also going to get a new Sony, so I'm going to be doing a test between those different ones, but I definitely use the wired lav mics with their pocket recorders more often now. They're much more, they're just better in a lot of different ways, The hardest thing is that you're not able to check levels as you're shooting, but once you get more experience with setting it right the first time and knowing what kind of latitude you have to pull up and adjust audio in post helps. But yeah, if you're not able to plug into the DJ soundboard, what is your next best option? My Zoom H1 strapped to a speaker pole sounds like garbage. Yes, the Zoom H1 does sound like garbage when you strap it directly next to a really loud sound source like the speaker from a DJ during a wedding reception. If you can't plug in, there's a couple different options. The best obviously being that you have a XLR splitter. So this is like something that I'm thinking about pulling the trigger on. It's in my Amazon cart for like $100. So it's pretty much just one source in, 2 sources out, XLR on all sides. So that allows me to go from, the mic that the person's doing the toast for, and then whatever, I just bypass, I put a little link within the input to go to the DJ. So I cut it off in the middle, and I give the DJ his source, and then I pull my own, so I can pull that into like a Tascam DR60 or a Zoom H4n. Yeah, that would be great, but I haven't done it yet, so I'm not going to talk with experience about that. I've done the whole thing where I dangle a lav mic over top of the DJ speaker, and it blows it out, it kills it, even if you adjust the settings all the way down. I've done the whole recorder right in front of the speaker. It works usually, but it's just a crappy sound. What I will usually do is, I've had good luck with this Shure 56. So this is a beefier microphone. It can handle louder audio sources. And you just plug it in with XLR, put it in a mic stand, and then just put it in front, 2-3 feet away from the speaker. And, depending on how close or how far you are from the speaker, you're going to get different amounts of bass and treble. So you just have to experiment with that. But yeah, this is like my backup. So I'll always have that ready to go if I can't tap into the DJ system. And then of course you can try to lav up all the people speaking. It's difficult. You got to have a lot of pieces of equipment because you don't want to be switching over, this device to this person right before they go up. So that's always tough. So have backups. How do you get the couple alone without the burden of the photographer to get those money shots for your wedding highlight film? I don't do it too much, every so often I'll ask for a shot during a creative photo session. Of course, the first look is the time that I try to have my most control over. I'll talk with the photographer, I'll talk with the bride and groom. I'm like, let me run the show. We'll all get what we're looking for, trust me. But as far as getting the couple alone, you just have to talk to them. I guarantee you most photographers and most brides and grooms are like totally cool with this as long as you do it ahead of time and in like a professional way. The time to not do it is the moment of you're there shooting with them. You're like, can you just go hide for like 20 minutes while I take the bride and groom to go do some stuff? Like, that is not the time to do it. And it definitely helps if you know the photographer. So contact them beforehand, introduce yourself, show your reel, let them know what kind of stuff you're shooting, and then just ask, can I take 10 minutes? It's no problem. What lenses do you use during different parts of the day of the wedding, and explain why? Well, this changes a lot and I'm always getting new lenses, but typically during prep, I love the 50-100 combo. So I have a little lens pouch I can keep, one by my side, one on my camera. I can switch real fast. They're both prime. The 100 has IS. They're both sharp. I just love the look of 100, and I love the idea that I can go as close as I want with macro, or far out and get that nice telephoto squished in look. It's beautiful. If I had one lens, I think it'd be the 100 for all day. The 50 is great. You can put it on the monopod and really get in close and get those different angles, up, down, side, jump around like Patrick Monroe in still motion. It always looks good. So that's like my wide angle. If I use slider stuff, I'll switch to 24 or 35, but I'll also use the 50, 85, and 100 on the slider. It depends. For cocktail and creative photo sessions, I'm typically on a 70 to 200 on a monopod. If I have a second shooter, that's usually what they're doing. I'll switch to like a 24, a 35, or a 50 on a glide cam. For establishing shots, for creative photo sessions, I'll use the slider throughout the day. And then for the reception, I'll try to light it and expose so that I can use 2.8 glass. It's not the fastest, but I would rather boost the ISO to ISO 3000 and get my 70 to 200 in the mix, rather than use like 85 1.2s and shoot at 1.2, which is insane to me. But yeah, for the toasts, I'll typically try to use a 70 to 200 master shot on the person speaking, 70 to 200 on the reaction shots, and then like 100 prime on the bride and groom reaction shot. That's locked down. Yeah, and then I like my 35 for reception dancing and going crazy, but it typically changes between the 35, the 50, and an 85 for reception dancing and the rest of the night. Yeah. How do you get audio during receptions, speeches, toasts? Do you mic everyone up? Use DJ Lavs? The first thing I do is I talk to the DJ. We talk about what kind of signal I could get out. Sometimes it's tape out. It's usually RCA. Sometimes it's quarter. The last ditch effort is an XLR out of the actual speakers, but I would prefer to come from the mixer. I'm not a total expert on audio. I just know what I've gotten in the past and what has worked and what hasn't. So I would say for most weddings, I use my cable that is stereo RCA plugged into their mixer, and then that's going to stereo, so dual to quarter, and that's going into my Tascam DR60, so I can record two different levels, so like one input but at two different levels, so it's staggered. So if this one peaks, this one hasn't yet, and you want to do that as much as possible. It's a good backup. What tripod monopod sliders do you use on your wedding videos? That's changing as I upgrade and sell equipment, but I post a post commentary for each wedding highlight that I do, so look for those. After new wedding highlights come up, I'll always have post commentaries on weddingfilmschool.com, and then the actual wedding film will be on Cadams Media. So I explain what went into shooting each, and then I'll actually give a list with links with the equipment that I use for that wedding shoot. So look for that. Was thinking about getting a 6D with Magic Lantern. What version are you running? Yeah, Magic Lantern is great. I'm using it right now. I use it for all my shoots. I use it to shoot raw. I use it to keep my camera rolling past the 4 gigabyte and then the 25-minute limit or something. So the Magic Lantern just keeps rolling. I have audio meters. The aesthetics of the camera, the live view are so much better. You have Magic focus zoom, so you can do digital to check your focus while you're rolling. And then of course you can do crop marks. So if you're doing 2.35 to 1 aspect ratio, you can check that and make custom crop marks on your camera. I have a tutorial explaining how to install, but it's pretty simple, so check out the description below for a link to that tutorial as well. So those were some awesome questions. You guys are the best. And something new that I'm doing is I'm giving away equipment. Woo! So all you have to do is like, comment, share. I'm gonna pick a random person in the comment section below, and I'm going to send this out, Today, I promise stuff will get better, trust me, geez. We have a mic. It works. It's a lav mic mono. It's got a windscreen and a clip. Ooh, yeah, you can plug that into a Zoom H1, record audio, do whatever. I used to use that for readings, but I just upgraded my lav. We have a case kit for media. This can hold SD, micro SD, and CF cards. So check that out. And lastly, we have this LED light. So it works. Yeah, you have this little on switch back here, and it turns on. It's daylight balanced. You put a battery in the back, a Sony one, like this, boop, boop. And then you can light stuff. And here's a power cord in case you don't have an Sony battery like that. So you can plug this in and power it. So it's a cool little light. I've used this on Kivi's music video. I've used this on different interviews. Yeah, so please like, comment below, and let me know if you have any other questions for the next Q&A. You guys are awesome. So till next time, thanks.